Welcome to the Gospel Road. We're going to look at Psalms 116, or Psalm 116. It says, I love the Lord because he has heard my voice and my pleas of mercy. Because he inclined his ear to me, therefore I can call on him as I live. The snares of death encompassed me. The fangs of Sheol laid hold on me. I suffered distress and anguish. Then I called on the name of the Lord. O Lord, I pray, deliver my soul. Gracious is the Lord and righteousness. Our God is merciful. The Lord preserves the simple. When I was brought low, he saved me. Return, O my soul, to your rest, for the Lord has dealt bountiful with you. For you have delivered my soul from death, my eyes from tears, my feet from stumbling. I walk before the Lord in the land of the living. I believed even when I spoke, I am greatly afflicted. I said in my alarm, all mankind are liars. What shall I render to the Lord for all his benefits to me? I will lift up the cup of salvation and call on the name of the Lord. I will pay my vows to the Lord in the presence of his people. Precious is the sight of the Lord in the death of his saints. O Lord, I am your servant. I am your servant, the son of your manservant. You have loosed my bonds. I will offer to you the sacrifice of thanksgiving and call on the name of the Lord. I will pay my vows to the Lord in the presence of all his people, in the courts of the house of the Lord, in your midst, O Jerusalem. Praise the Lord. Psalm 116. Again, welcome to the Gospel Road. Thanks for listening to the podcasts, and I know there's a few that are out there, and a little slow getting back up and running again. A lot has happened for me in the last month, but again, we want to get right back on to, what we're doing. It's about the inspiring one another, and it's about, encouraging and lifting up one another, making people better. And we have David here talking about his love for God and him hearing his voice and giving his mercy. Now, we need to look at how God, Jesus, treats us, how we look at him and give him the respect. Now, think about this. If you are helping out a person, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, there's something that I read, it was a Facebook meme, it says, sometimes the only Jesus people see is the Jesus in you. How are you treating other people? How are you effectively feeding into their lives? What are you doing? How are you helping them to be enlightened, to be encouraged, to really pick things up and move forward? I also saw one that it says, share your smile with someone else, because that smile could mean everything to that person. Be kind to someone. It doesn't matter what your day is like. By showing that kindness, it could change that person's life forever. Simple little things. Now, are we not always going to be in that joyful, happy mood? Absolutely not. We're not going to be. And there's times that, I have to be honest, because I was that positive, that was in-your-face type of person, and I don't do that much anymore. In fact, the people like that almost annoy me anymore. Now, is that bad? No. Because realistically, we have realism. Realistically, real. Get that. Think about it. There are times, and I really believe this, there are times, it's not that people are trying to be negative purposely. I think there is times that we need to think realistically about things. Just because you're thinking realistically about it does not mean you're being a negative person. We need to, when making decisions and thinking things through, we have to look at both sides. We have to look at the pros and we have to look at the cons. How many times when you're making a change in your life, you're writing that out on a sheet of paper? It's all part of journaling. And you're trying to figure out the best road to go and if this is the right decision that you need to make. These are the things that we need to think about. And when you are trying to help others like God, are you a good listener? Do you hear someone's voice when they're trying to talk to you? Or do you just kind of listen and just tune it out? Do you really show them compassion? Now, if somebody does something against you, or even maybe they're doing something bad, it doesn't have to be against you. Are you judging them, or are you showing them grace and mercy like God shows us? It's interesting to think of it that way. I mean, putting us, and there'll be people that really kind of slap me for this, but putting yourself in God's shoes, putting yourself in Jesus' shoes, how are you treating your coworker, your friends, your family, your stranger, the people that you just run into every day? How are you treating them? Are you giving them something to feed into in their life to really be inspired? Or are you tearing them down? See, and for me, our purpose is to build up one another. Our purpose is to love one another. Our purpose is to be that strength that they need. And a lot of times I think we miss that boat because of the way our life is, the way things are going. It just is. Especially when you're dealing with the public. How are you presenting yourself on a really bad day? You know, like, so for me, in radio for 25 years, still there's a radio station that I help out, a Christian station here in town. But really, my radio days right now are over. It's more of what I'm doing here. It's helping them out, but it's not a daily part of my life anymore. Now I'm in sales. I am selling cars. Really weird. But again, it's having that face on when you're talking to people. Now, there's a lot of downtime that I have if I'm not really having a great day. I mean, in radio, I just remember it's like, for 4 hours you were on, and it took the energy out. Now, I'm not saying what I'm doing now doesn't take the energy out. Of course, a lot of that might be the hours that I'm putting in. To be honest, I'm putting in almost 60 hours a week between the commute and everything. I haven't done hours like that since I was program director for a country station, almost 15 years ago. About 10 years ago. It's been a while. But those, I was putting in the 12-hour days every day, and I was doing mornings and doing all the, I'm telling you, that was exhausting. It was exhausting. Now, I'm back to those hours again, and now trying to, figure out my new way, trying to figure out how I fit into things. And I know we've had that conversation even before. I'm still trying to figure out where my life is going and what needs to be done. But it doesn't change. Now I'm really a fish out of water, trying to figure it out. Finances, trying to figure it out. Again, we all have a past. And it's a past that I'm dealing with, and it's a past that I'm trying to move forward with. But unfortunately, that past there's a requirement that I need to do. Now, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine earlier today, and it was really interesting because so many people try to say, I understand where you're coming from. I know what it's like really struggling financially. Well, I'm sure you do. But do you really understand the pressure I have compared to your pressure? There's the term rob Peter to pay Paul. For them, their pressure is worrying to not affect their credit score. My pressure is a little more intense than that. But I'm doing my best. I'm pushing forward. I'm doing what I can. Is that going to be the best answer for those that I'm answering to? Well, I can only give that to God. And that's me. Because I'm a very spiritual person and just really trust in God, and I have to. I'm not saying that's your way, which is okay. But again, as I'm trying to help you and inspire and encourage you as you're moving forward in life, again, I use the Bible and I use Scripture, I use verses for that. But what I'm just trying to do is think, use your head, because again, we're individuals and we think for ourselves. So you look at God. And I'm kind of really focusing on that first one, the Lord has heard my voice and my pleas for mercy. How are you dealing with those people around you? Are you being merciful? Are you you actually listening, being that strong listener when people need to talk. It says in 8, for he delivered my soul from death, my eyes from tears, and my feet from stumbling. I've been in tears in the past month. I'll be honest with you, I've been in tears. There's a certain manager, very, intense. And of course, I'm not just dealing with a new career, and I'm dealing with all this overwhelming information. I'm dealing with, and to be honest, I still haven't 100% dealt with what has happened. I haven't had a chance. I lost my job in the morning, and I had a job that afternoon, and I was working the next day. And it's just been to the wall ever since. I'm an emotional guy anyway. Very emotional. I'm talking with a friend of mine this morning. We're having these, sharing stories, and he's talking about these different things, which is bringing me to tears because my heart's breaking. Now, when a person is like that, how do you deal with an emotional person? Now, of course, I end up in tears, and then I'm a guy, they're a guy. They now give me a whole load of crap because of that. Because, I'm just, crying. I'm just a little girl. Unfortunately, that's what I've been dealing with my entire life. Because, I'm just not manly enough for their species. Well, whatever. Bite me. It upsets me sometimes, but, here again, it's the life that we have to deal with. It's who we are. And it comes down to how you deal with one another. Again, talking about that leadership. Leadership does not come with a title. Leadership comes with who you are. Sitting next to the person that you're working with in your cubicle, the desk, when it comes to your family. You don't have to have that title to be someone that's helping another, that's building them up and trying to make them better, to get them to the next level in life. To the next level, at work, to wherever their goals are. Because, see, we all need to have goals. We all need to have a plan. We need to put those goals down so we have a target that we're aiming for. And once we aim that, then we have another one. For me, new goal, selling a car a day. I have talked to like 4 people this past week, and they've all fell through. Now, you think that makes me feel fantastic? No. Now, in this month, the first week and a half of it was me exploding myself and getting certified in all these different cars, because we sell all Ford, Chevy, and Chrysler, so I got to get certified in all of them. Exploding my mind, trying to get all this testing done. All of a sudden, sold a car, sold a third car, but it's not that easy. Anybody in sales it takes 20 leads at times before you finally get a sale. So I have these 3 sales. I've got 4, so my average at this point is pretty good, about 50-50. But it's hard. For me, dealing with, having an hourly or a salary to being 100% commission, holy cow. Yeah, it's crazy. But I'm trying to take that and move forward. Life gives you lemons, make lemonade. We want to make those lemons sweet. It's not easy. Over the years, again, I open myself up and say, this is who I am. Just trying to help you find out who you are. I had a person today look at me. It's the same friend I'm having the conversation and said, what are your strengths? Unfortunately, I've never sat down and figured that out. I don't know. I know I'm encouraging. I know I've been told that I inspire. When I lost all my weight, all these people are just looking at me. And, when life gives me lemons, I make lemonade. They don't know how I just keep moving forward. So I'm a real inspiration to people. I hear that all the time. Okay, there's a strength. I encourage. I uplift. I build up one another. That's a strength. But now I need to actually sit down and figure out what those are. I need to take the time to get out your list. Remember the pros and con list, that when you're making decisions, it's the same thing. Get out the list, write it all down, figure out what my strengths are. You want those 6 strengths that you're going to put on the top of your resume when you're looking for a job. I need to figure those out. I know marketing has been part of my life because being in radio for 25 years, we've got to market ourselves, which is still sales. You got to sell yourself. When a person buys a car, a person most times knows the car they want. They know what they're trying to find. But realistically, you still have to have a connection with the salesperson to really feel satisfied with buying that car. You are buying the person more than you're buying the car. Believe that or not. It's crazy. There's things that I've thought about that I've never thought about with doing this. It's really opened my eyes. It's like when I did taxes and, I thought one way for so many years and I found out, well, no, really, it's like this. I'm too busy listening to what everybody else says rather than being the individual that I should be and thinking for myself. A lot has happened to me over the past 10 years. A lot of things have changed. A lot of ways I used to think have gone, I need to be more me and not everybody else. For the most part, works pretty good. We'll keep moving forward and see what happens. But it's trying, but it's being there. Again, it's what is it that you do to help one another? For me, project management, that's really when I did promotions, I was a promotions director. We created the idea, we built the idea, and we executed the idea. We went from start all the way to finish. That's project management. I've got to figure out what it is, what my strengths are, what it is that I know how to do. Event management, event consulting. It's the same thing. It's still a project. Here's the idea, here's what we got to do, and then carry it out all the way to the end with execution to get it out. Concerts that I've, put together with, different guys that I've worked with over the years. Man, it was a lot of work, but I learned a lot. How does this all work together? How do we make that work? And it's taking that and finding out what your strengths are so you are moving forward. So you are building up a person to help them become a better person, to be a better employee, to be a better brother, sister, aunt, uncle, father, mother, daughter, son, grandparent. Building one another, not tearing each other down, but encouraging them, lifting them up, giving them the positive words. I remember the thing that really sticks in my head, and I've heard it years ago, that when a person, we need 70% of praise so we can handle the 30% of criticism. Unfortunately, a lot of managing styles do not work that way. It's 70% of criticism, and you're lucky if you get 30% of praise. And the way most of us are wired, that doesn't work, because then we start thinking negative. Then we start thinking terrible of ourselves, and we're just no good because we're not getting that positive reinforcement. Another one is, you can have 10 things that were given to you, positive, fantastic, just glowing 5 stars. And then you get that one negative statement. That one thing you did wrong. And it sticks in your head. I can tell you the things that I've done wrong over my life. I can tell you where I've messed up in work. Now, can I tell you the things that I've been successful in? If I'm lucky and I think about it. But the negative stuff, it's there. I don't want it to be. I try to but it pops right up. It's the first thing that I can be reminded of. It's crazy. Who are you? What are your strengths? How are you treating others? Like I said, put yourself in God's shoes. Look, when you read through the Bible and you read through the scriptures of how God loves unconditionally and shows compassion, how are you using that to treat those around you? Again, for me, it doesn't matter your beliefs. It doesn't matter, your beliefs. Like, there's not even another, it's what you believe. It's what you are focusing on spiritually in your mind. You still have the different pieces to to put together, to see how this works, of how you treat one another. Living in harmony, being at peace with one another, not always trying to fight and banging heads. Psalm 116. Read it. Think about it. What is it that it's saying to you? What is it that you are as a person with your life, where you're going? David said, all mankind are liars, greatly afflicted. Where do you stand for you? And when others are, and basically saying things, are you rolling it downhill? Saying it to others? Depending on how you're being treated, they come down on you, you try to, hold that and not pass it on to others. Things to think about. Things to really strive to not do to be better. Psalm 160. Thank you for listening to the Gospel Road. Have a great day. God bless.